Good morning from Fast Company. Here's our daily look into what's driving today's creative business leaders. Your brain has a productivity style. Here's how to find and use yours. By Gerald J. Leonard. When I was learning to play bass, my first teacher told me, find your groove and stay in it. As a musician, that meant discovering the rhythm that allowed me to lock in with the drummer so the rest of the band could shine. Years later, as a consultant and culture architect, I realized the same principle applies to productivity. Each of us has a groove, a natural style of working that, once discovered, allows us to perform at our best. The challenge is that most professionals attempt to replicate productivity systems that don't align with their brain's natural rhythm. They read about a CEO waking up at 4 a.m. or a time-blocking hack and feel frustrated when it doesn't work for them. That's like asking a jazz saxophonist to practice like a classical pianist. Both are musicians, but their art and their brains require different approaches. Neuroscience supports this. Research on brain plasticity reveals that each of us develops distinct cognitive strengths and energy patterns based on our experiences and genetic wiring. In other words, your productivity style is as unique as your fingerprint. Leaders who thrive are those who learn to recognize, honor, and harness their style, and then build teams that groove together like a jazz ensemble. The 4 productivity styles. Over the course of decades working with leaders, teaching project portfolio management, and performing music, I've identified 4 broad productivity styles. Think of them as sections of an orchestra. Each contributes differently, and the magic happens when they play in harmony. The disciplined virtuoso, focus and discipline. These are your practice room professionals, like Prince, who mastered 27 instruments through relentless repetition. They thrive on structure, consistency, and clear goals. The creative shapeshifter, reinvention and innovation. Think David Bowie or the Beatles. These individuals thrive when they can reinvent themselves, innovate, and question the status quo. The resilient improviser, experimentation, and recovery. Modeled after jazz legends like John Coltrane, this style thrives in uncertain times. They treat challenges as improvisational prompts, seeing them as opportunities to adapt and grow. The collaborative conductor, collaboration, and vulnerability. Like Beyoncé, who builds a powerhouse creative team, these leaders excel at orchestrating others. Their groove is creating safe, trust-filled environments where collective brilliance emerges. Each style can lead to extraordinary results, but only if you work with it rather than against it. Why knowing your style matters. Failing to identify your productivity style is like ignoring the bass in a song. It leaves everything else hollow. Here's why it matters. Energy alignment. When you work in harmony with your natural groove, tasks that once felt like mountains become more like your favorite tune. Reduced burnout. A Kronos study found 95% of HR leaders believe burnout is sabotaging retention. Misaligned productivity approaches are a silent culprit. Team synergy. Just as an orchestra needs strings, winds, brass, and percussion, organizations need a mix of productivity styles. Strategic clarity. The most successful companies, from Apple to Walgreens, found their hedgehog concept by aligning passion, capability, and economic engine. Individuals must do the same with their productivity. How do you find your productivity style? Think of this as a discovery process, not unlike learning to play music by ear. Here's a framework I use, inspired by my Productivity Smarts podcast and methodology. Identify peak energy hours. Track your energy for a week. Virtuosos often peak early. Shapeshifters may find evenings more generative. Map motivational triggers. Do you thrive on checklists or freedom? Pay attention to when you feel in flow. Replay your work history. Look at past projects. Were you most engaged when innovating, executing, adapting, or collaborating? Run a jam session. Try tasks outside your default style for a week. Notice whether they energize or drain you. Seek feedback. Ask colleagues what they see as your strengths. Others often notice patterns you miss. turning style into strength. Discovering your productivity style is only the first step. The real magic comes when you apply it with intention. Design your environment like a studio. Virtuosos thrive with tidy desks and project management tools. Shapeshifters may need whiteboards and inspiration boards to help them visualize their ideas. Improvisers benefit from safe sandbox spaces. Conductors need open collaboration zones. Build your productivity Parthenon. In my book Productivity Smarts, I describe the Parthenon as a metaphor for enduring productivity. Each pillar, focus, innovation, experimentation, collaboration, must be represented. Your style shows which pillar is strongest and which requires partners. Sync with the band. Productivity is not a solo act. Leaders should intentionally compose teams with a mix of styles. That's how you avoid the all drummers problem. Lots of noise, no melody. Use neuroscience to hack your groove. Neuroscience tells us emotion, novelty, and stories enhance memory and performance. If you're a virtuoso, add novelty breaks. Shapeshifters should ground ideas in stories. Improvisers should embed recovery rituals. Conductors should practice emotional intelligence to deepen trust. Make decisions like a jazz soloist. In my book, A Symphony of Choices, I wrote that effective decision-making is about striking a balance between structure and freedom. Let your style guide not only how you work, but what you choose to work on. When styles collide. I once consulted with a federal agency IT department that was paralyzed. Projects were late, innovation was flat, and morale was low. After assessments, we realized the leadership team was composed almost entirely of virtuosos. They were masters of execution, but resistant to improvisation. We introduced shapeshifters and improvisers into the project management leadership pipeline, pairing them with virtuosos in co-lead roles. The result? Innovation flourished, risks were managed, and execution remained strong. Within 2 years, their project delivery rate improved by 35%, and employee engagement scores jumped. The lesson? When you know your style, you not only work better, you know who to partner with to fill your gaps. Action plan. Find your groove. Here's a simple 5-step plan you can use tomorrow. Take inventory. Track when you feel most energized. Label your style. Decide whether you're primarily a virtuoso, shapeshifter, improviser, or conductor. Align your calendar. Schedule high-value tasks during your peak windows. Curate your ensemble. Partner with colleagues whose styles complement yours. Review weekly. Ask, did I honor my style? Did I balance it with others? Why this matters now. We live in what Antonio Nieto Rodriguez calls the project economy, a world where most of our work is structured as projects with clear outcomes and stakes. In this environment, productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most in harmony with how your brain works. Leaders who ignore this reality will continue to fight burnout, disengagement, and wasted resources. Leaders who embrace it will unlock resilience, creativity, and sustainable high performance. Closing note. Play your part. When I play in a jazz ensemble, no one asks the bassist to sound like the trumpet or the drums. My job is to provide the groove that makes the whole band sound better. Productivity is the same. Your style doesn't need to match anyone else's. It needs to be yours. And when you play it well, others will find their groove alongside you. Your brain already has a productivity style. It's time to discover, honor, and utilize it. Because in the great symphony of work, the world doesn't need more noise. It requires your unique music. That's all today from Fast Company. Talk to you tomorrow.
Spoken Layer.